This is John Force, 16-time funny car champion.
Hey guys, it's Justin Ashley, driver of the Phillips Canal Toyota Top Fuel Dragster.
Hi, I'm Robert Height, 3-time funny car champion.
I'm Kyle Koretsky, driver of the Lucas Oil Chevy Camaro.
I'm Dallas Glenn, driver of the Radford Systems Pro Stock Camaro.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
And you're tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
You are watching Inside the NHRA.
I tell you what, this is Antron Brown, I'm NHRA Top Fuel World Champion, and stay tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
If you want to be entertained, this is the show, and Darren is the guy to do it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, across YouTube, Facebook, and any other streaming platforms that you happen to be tuning in on. We're here to recap the 2023 NHRA Fall Nationals. And tonight, the roles are reversed a little bit because I'll be the main host, David Weslowski, and my co-host will be the other DW, Darren Williams Jr., coming to us live from Bakersfield, California at the March Meet/Hot Rod Reunion finale of the season. And Darren, how's it going out there, man? It's still sunny and light by you. Looks like the temperature's great. It's dark and dreary here, but you're still getting to enjoy drag racing.
Yeah, it's still sunny out here, and if you can hear in the background, they're running the Sportsman finals right now. We're winding down the end of the season. Nitro finals are coming up in just a little bit. Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Fuel Altered. So having fun out here in Bakersfield. The season finale for the NHRA Heritage Series here at iconic Famoso Drag Strip. It's been a lot of fun. Have been having a lot of fun covering the race for CompetitionPlus.com, but we're here to talk about the 2023 Texas NHRA Fall Nationals, race number 4 of 6 in the NHRA countdown to the championship. Wasn't able to watch the full race today, obviously, because like I said, I'm in Bakersfield covering this race, but did watch the semifinals and the finals and watched a little bit of qualifying. I would say best race of the year so far here in 2023. Best race of the year.
And in your opinion, from what you did get to see, I know you got to miss the first couple of rounds, unfortunately. Would you say that this is kind of like a classic Texas Motorplex Chief Nationals throwback race? It had it all: record performances, huge accidents, big upsets, and big-time championship moves to the end of the season.
This was a throwback to the Texas Motorplex of the late 80s, early 90s, when you showed up to the Texas Motorplex, you knew records were going to fall, and we saw that here this weekend. Like you said, we got crashes. We crowned some champions here this weekend as well. Remember back in the day when Dallas was the second to last race of the year, some champions will be crowned at the Texas Motorplex. So just a real throwback all around feel. And then also for the Stampede of Speed and the whole Meyer family for what they put on. This wasn't just a race. It's a spectacle, and I love what they're doing. And I tell you what, the racers put on a show. The Camping World Series, the Lucas Oil Sportsman Series, they put on a show. Like I said, it was probably the best race. Not probably, it was the best race of the year. And I didn't even watch it, and I know that just from following along.
Well, and that is true. You mentioned this is the culmination of the Stampede of Speed, which started, I believe, it's a full week-long event. I mean, they had nitro cars. Jeff Deal and Terry Haddock were there all week. They were running a nitro event throughout the week up to this point, and they decided to stick it out and run the show here. So the Texas Motorplex, they have really kind of taken the lead when it comes to race promotion with these week-long events. They're even going to be starting the Funny Car Chaos season out next year and with a whole week-long event there, the Solar Eclipse event that they've got going on. What do you think about these week-long events?
I like it, man. It's really cool. Like I said, when they do this, it's not just a race. It's more like a spectacle. It's more of an event. You know, I always say in every show I say we're not NASCAR, and I hate to compare us to NASCAR, but they do a great job of like making their races like spectacles, events. Something more than just a race. A lot other things for you to do when you get to the race, and so I really do dig this. And I know Gainesville has kind of been following suit now. They have a lot of festivities leading up to the Gator Nationals. I know the Mile High Nationals did a block party, a few days before the race starts. So I feel like other tracks should follow suit. And I'll tell you what, I was watching Friday night qualifying from home. a little bit of the race I did watch, and it really felt like I was watching a legit sporting event with the music in the background, the entertainment on the return rail that they were doing, the DJ they had. It was a really cool deal, and man, it was awesome to see. And like I said, for the racers, the teams, in the middle of these championship battles, to put on the performance like they did, man, what a fantastic race it was. It was great, and it just so dramatic too. Like I said, I watched the semis and the finals, and I was invested, man. So it wasn't just me in here. Like I had two other people I'm working with that were in here, and we're just watching it on the computer, following along, and we were all out cheering and stuff like that. It was cool.
Upset city, I would say it in funny car with the way that the Big Four turned out with Matt Hagan coming out with the win. Erica Anders solidified her place at the top. Gage Herrera, I mean, let's just give him the trophy. Let's start engraving that one because he's going to get that one in Vegas. I mean, that's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Top Fuel, it's a 3-car race now. The way that this race turned out today, which one are you looking forward to the most to see how it plays out through the rest of the season?
Well, like you mentioned, we could just maybe Gage Herrera's name on the trophy out in Vegas. He's most likely going to wrap it up. I believe he will wrap it up in Las Vegas. Remember, Erica wrapped it up in Vegas last season. I think Gage does that, and he follows suits this year here in 2023. What an amazing race. And I know you're going to talk about it, but all 4 of his runs were, I believe, were under the national record into this race. So, and he sets the national record in qualifying. So just an amazing performance. I think it's over in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Pro Stock, it's looking like, the Erica and Greg show, like we talked about off screen before we started this show, but I'm really looking forward to Top Fuel Eliminator. Like you said, it's a 3-horse race in that class. And man, just what happened to Justin Ashley? That's what I'm really curious about. Just tough deal for them.
It really is. And they really need to rebound in Vegas to even get themselves in the picture. I mean, they're not out of it yet. They're only 108 back from the top.
Yeah.
So at this point, still doable. A win in Vegas can set you up. We got 1.5 points at Pomona. But, I mean, just from top to bottom, what a show that all the teams put on. I would say, from my count, I believe 20-plus drivers amongst the pro and heads-up sportsman classes set personal career bests this weekend.
That's awesome.
We saw quickest times of the season in all the categories, some top speeds. The 8th-mile speeds, we were just close to getting second, third, and fourth drivers over that 300-mile-an-hour mark to the 8th mile. Just an epic race weekend all around. It's really hard to pick a favorite moment. I mean, it was the Jegs Allstars. You throw in the Jegs Allstars. You had 4 qualifying sessions. You had, like you said, the Friday night felt like a sporting event. I mean, all in all, what an awesome race this was to kick off basically the second half of the countdown. And where do you think the best place to start off the recap would be? Where should we go first?
Let's see. Let's kick off day with Top Fuel Eliminator.
There you go. And we're kicking off with Top Fuel Eliminator, but it looks like Darren probably had to go. He said he was going to be around until the Nitro Finals began because he is working at Bakersfield to cover the show. But what a performance Leah Pruitt and the Mobile One team put on this weekend to come back, qualified number 7, nearly in the bottom half of the field, which in a 366, you don't expect a 366 to put you 7th in the field. But came out swinging, 360s all day long. They finally got their race car back. They said that they were struggling with the setup the first couple of rounds of qualifying. Thankfully, they had 4 sessions. They were really appreciative of that. Hit on the tune-up on that last pass, and it carried them through race day. And Leah Pruitt gets her first win of the season and the first in Top Fuel for Tony Stewart, which obviously would be a Tony Stewart double-up. We'll get to that one with Funny Car as well, but just an awesome all-around performance for Leah Pruitt today.
Can you hear me now, Dave? Am I good?
Yeah, I hear. Yep, there you go.
Oh, yeah, man, what an awesome win for Leah Pruitt. And I'll tell you what a great Top Fuel final that was against Steve Torrance, beating him on a hole shot. I tell you what, I had Steve Torrence penciled in to get the win because, number one qualifier, had great performance all weekend long. But Leah Pruitt, she stepped up and, we've been talking a lot about during this countdown of Steve Torrence and Doug Coletta and Justin Ashley. Well, right there, not being talked about enough is Leah Pruitt, and she's been solid all year long. I know kind of fell off on the Western swing, but her with her driving abilities and Neil Strasbaugh tuning the car, they've had a pretty strong season, and they're stepping up at the right time here in the countdown. And
And we're starting to lose your connection again now. You're cutting in and out. Probably have to let it catch up. But yes, Leah, the team is getting hot at the right spot of the countdown. They've been to the semifinals every race of the countdown and finally closed it off with a win here today with an epic hole shot over Steve Torrence. But just a shout out to the entire Top Fuel field this weekend. I mean, that was just an epic performance. It was one spot away, a couple hundredths of a second from being the quickest field in history. 12 cars were in the 360s. 12 cars were over 333 miles an hour. The field average elapsed time was 368, and the average speed, including the cars that didn't go over 330, was 332.60. It's got to be the quickest and fastest field, I would say, in Top Fuel history. And, I mean, whether it's the 4 qualifying sessions, they had the track prepped to the hill. They had excellent weather. Friday was the hottest day, and they were still running 360s at that particular point, and still go out there and better weather on Saturday, better weather on Sunday. But that 363 from Steve Torrence on Friday night to go to the number 1 position was just epic, in my opinion. Definitely the run of the season, 336 miles an hour. Justin Ashley, 338 miles an hour. It was just a performance race. And really, if you were a throwdown crew chief or that was your wheelhouse, that's why it was surprising to see some of the other teams struggle as much as they did. And Sunday turned into a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say a one-lane racetrack, but it seemed like a lot of teams struggled with that right lane for some reason. But we'll go ahead and take a look now. We're talking about Leah Pruitt's day. We'll see how it started out here. First round of eliminations up against Sean Langdon, where Sean, uncharacteristic after the weekend they've had, goes immediately up in smoke in the right-hand lane, unfortunately. Leah goes right down Broadway, 367, 333 to set the tone. Then that puts her in an epic matchup against Doug Coletta in the second round of eliminations, number 1 and 3 in the point standings. Doug makes a little bit further, drops some cylinders. He puffs the tires. He's out of it. That's a big round win for Leah Pruitt. Onto the semifinals, up against a very surprising Clay Milliken, who had an epic explosion in qualifying right on the starting line, rebounded, made it to the semifinal round of eliminations again here today. Huge wheel stand when he pedals the car. Leah Pruitt, again, straight down Broadway, 368-1, 329. And as we'll see here in just a couple of moments, that was going to be an epic run for her, because on the other side of the ladder, as Steve Torrence went through his day, he started first round Buddy Hall, which major props to Buddy Hall. 378 in qualifying. He comes up with a 373 career best in first round. Yes, Steve Torrence runs a 366 with the win, but that team has to be just absolutely excited for the number that came up on the scoreboard. Round 2 against Antron Brown. Antron left first and looked like he was ahead until the motor went away just before the 1,000-foot mark. That allowed Steve Torrence to just get right back on by with a 368. And that set up the semifinal round up against his dad, Billy. Father and son, Billy got the whole shot, and Steve was able to drive back around him with a 369.7 at 333 miles an hour. Now, that was important because Leah's 368 versus Steve's 369 gives Leah the lane choice going into the final round of eliminations. And again, not to say that the right lane was bad. Cars were navigating it. Cars were getting down it, as we'll see in Funny Car. It would seem like it was a little bit trickier. Did the lane choice make a difference in the finals? Leah wanted the left lane for sure, but as we'll see, the Torrence and Capco teams managed to get down that right-hand lane too.
Final 2 cars of the Stampede of Speed. It's going to be Leah. 368 beats 366 on a hole shot by 5 thousandths of a second. Leah Pruitt wins it. 3.684, 330 to Steve Torrance's 3.662, 333. Tony Stewart gets his first double with his 2 nitro cars.
Into her hand, and Leah, you said finally when Matt Hagan yelled a double up for Tony Stewart Racing, and you're the one that gets it done. I know this has been a special journey for you. How much fire does Leah Pruitt have now as the points leader?
Oh, pretty much as Khaleesi's Dragons, that's for sure. I just want to say, red, white, and blue Mobile One, this is for you and for all our Mobile One users, and for Dodge, for Direct Connection, and for Tony Stewart believing in this team. Neil Strasbaugh, second year lead crew chief, you are absolutely dynamite. Mike Tamagala, my entire crew, Ryan McGilvery, look at our race car all day. It deserves to be in the winner's circle, and I feel like I finally deserve to too. We're going to take this momentum on and do the best we can and do what Tony Stewart Racing does best. Keep winning. Thank you.
Now, I mean, when you got the momentum like that and you're going to Las Vegas, 2 races to go. I don't have the points up as a actual graphic to show, but to read through them real quick, Leah does move to the lead. Doug is by far not out of this yet. He's only 4 points behind in second. Steve Torrance is 13 behind in third. That's how close. Top 3, 13 points. Whoever won that final round between Steve Torrance and Leah Pruitt was going to leave here the points leader. Justin Ashley, best of the rest in fourth, 108 points behind. Antron Brown, fifth, 110 back. Mike Salinas, 131. Clay Milliken, 144. Brittany Force, after an uncharacteristic first-round loss, perhaps not choosing the left lane when she should have with lane choice, with David Grubnick making that call, 165 behind. Other early round exits, Tony Schumacher, Austin Prock, Sean Langdon, and Josh Hart, 219, 248, and Josh all the way back 285 points out of first with just 2 races to go. And at this particular point, the way that it breaks down, there are 2 races left, 321 points left in the season to be gained after today. Realistically, if everybody shows up, there's only 244 points left. Everybody's going to show up. They're going to make the show. We're not going to have any surprise DNQs. So if you're more than 244 behind, you're hoping that somebody's going to DNQ and you have to still run out the rest of the season. So your chances are very unlikely. At this point in time, anybody that's 60 points back or more, you can still control your own destiny by running out the qualifying sessions, qualifying number 1 and winning the race. You can still earn that many points on the guy who is next best after you. So there is still an outside hope. But I feel like for Justin Ashley, for Antron Brown, Vegas is really going to be do or die. I know we were kind of talking about where that do or done line would be after the last event, but here I really have to put it under the top 3. We really need, with the top 3 as close as they are within a round of each other, you need to bank on 3 drivers going out prior to the second round. And Justin Ashley, Antron Brown, Mike Salinas, Clay Milliken, even with an outside chance, going on winning the race to even get into a position where you have an outside chance going into Pomona with the 1.5 points, and then basically repeat the same performances. And I really just don't feel like at this point in time that's probably going to be an outcome that these guys will have. So I hate to say it, but it looks like Top Fuel is down to a 3-car race at this point. And we'll take a look now at the rest of the field and how they played out with the Top Fuel ladder today. Some very surprising first-round losses. Again, Josh Hart has just struggled through this countdown. Another first-round loss for him today against Doug Coletta. Sean Langdon with that very surprising right up in smoke right off the starting line. Did not expect that. Doug Foley, strong in qualifying. First-round loss to Mike Salinas. Justin Ashley and Clay Milliken was definitely the marquee matchup of the day because we know how Clay can step up even when they struggle in qualifying. And it was just, again, another surprise that even in the left-hand lane, Justin Ashley went out there, puffed the tire, couldn't get it to recover. Clay Milliken even had it shut off early on him, coasted to a 378 at only 269. But I would say with all intents and purposes, that kind of puts Justin Ashley out of the championship picture. Billy Torrance comes in, first race of the year. He's number 5 qualifier, goes all the way to the semifinal round of eliminations, puts Tony Schumacher on the trailer first round, which Tony had a resurgence in this countdown after a really dismal season. We touched a little bit on the Brittany Force Spencer Massey first round matchup. They saw that they had traction problems in that right-hand lane. Yes, Alan Reinhart did keep mentioning how Antron Brown did get down at first pair down the track with that 368-2 to put Austin Prock on the trailer. However, Spencer even said as much as interview, he's like, I'm shocked that they did not swap lanes, because the next 2 cars after Antron Brown, which were Sean Langdon and Tony Stewart, had problems in that lane. David Grubnick and team kept it. Brittany made it a little farther down track, had problems. Spencer Massey ran, I believe what he said was his career best at a 371. He had a couple hundredths of advantage on the tree, puts Brittany on the trailer first round. Again, I feel like her countdown is done. And as we touched on, Antron Brown and Austin Prock opened up the show. Austin had trouble in the left-hand lane. Antron, no trouble with a 368. And Buddy Hull, shout out to Buddy Hull. What a run in qualifying. And again, for that first round, 373.9. I believe his quickest run coming into this race was a 382. So to pick up nearly a 1/10 of a second in performance was just really epic for that team. And again, congrats to Buddy Hall. I know it was a losing effort, but you made the show, ran your career best, hopefully learned something going on to the rest of the season, and just an all-around good performance for all the top field teams, really, that were there. Some comments that are here. Thought Darren said he wouldn't be on the post-race show. Well, Drag Racing Mayhem, he's not. He did pop in for just a little bit, but his connection in Bakersfield is not too good. Scott, awesome race day. Yes, we agree, and thank you again for the super chat that was earlier. Monday Morning Racer will be joining us on the show as well, Lee Kraft. As soon as he finishes up his media obligations at the Texas Motorplex, he is there in-house enjoying the show. Sucks that Tasca got beat. Yes, Shane, I agree. It does. He was definitely looked like he was going to be the funny car to beat, and we will get into that here momentarily. Who is your favorite NHRA driver? Well, for me, I would say Greg Anderson in the Pro Stock class. Red Racer tuning in. Fooled you, didn't he? Yes, he did. What a show this race was all weekend. Red Racer 85, James, I do agree. I mean, again, just like Darren said, I will echo the same sentiment. I feel like this was a late 80s, early 90s Chief Nationals feel to it where, hey, we're going to Dallas. What kind of records are we going to set? And the teams did not disappoint. Below the Mystic, yes, called it last week. Double E rocking. Drag Race Mayhem, Leah 23 champ. You all laughed at me when I said before Maple Grove. Now look at it. Well, you know what? We ain't laughing now. Nobody's laughing now. She's the points leader. She's got the momentum. But again, with the top 3 within just one round of eliminations, qualifying points can determine this. And Steve Torrance was hot with the qualifying points this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see 4 qualifying sessions in Vegas, 4 qualifying sessions in Pomona, 2 races to go. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. And that's Darren himself tuning in. Connection went to crap, so that's why we lost Darren. Unfortunately, connection there was not good. How many channels is this on right now? I don't know. I believe probably 4 or 5. We try and spread it out as far as we can to reach as broad of an audience as we can, and hopefully put on a good enough show for you guys to want to enjoy, subscribe, like, share the channels, tune in, and enjoy the recap, the content. Comment as you can. We'll put you in the show. We'll have an interactive discussion. And at this particular point, we'll go on to the next class, which will be Funny Car Eliminator. What a day it was for Matt Hagan and the entire Tony Stewart Racing Nitro crew. The first double up that they've been able to have for the team, but an epic weekend, as we have talked all about the countdown coming up to today, how you've got the big four, how you've got Bob Tasca, Ron Capps, Robert Height, Matt Hagan. And this weekend was epic as far as performances, as far as upsets that we didn't expect to see for the second week in a row. But it started with qualifying. Bob Tasca with that 382.2, it's seemingly out of nowhere. Quickest pass in 5 years in Funny Car, and puts it number one. He's low of 3 of the 4 sessions. And how about John Force? I mean, you got to give props where props are due to John Force. He comes out there with a 382.3 in the last session. Very consistent. He put together a lot of qualifying points. It was just amazing to see the teams turn around and the amazing performances without the laid-back header era. I mean, they are still laid back, not to the extent that they were, but an epic session in Funny Car throughout the 4 qualifying sessions, same as Top Fuel. It looks like we were out to 10 places in Funny Car that were all in the 380s, 13s in the 3s. Terry Haddock, 401.2. Man, he just missed it again. That's all he wanted, is just to make a 3-second pass. Came up 0.02 of a second short. Jeff Deal, where'd he come from? 401.5. He comes out there and makes the show. And unfortunately, in the first session of Funny Car qualifying, a very scary incident with Dave Richards and Dale Creasy Jr., which I don't really know specifically. It looked like maybe Dale had a hole out, and it kind of pushed over a little bit to that way. Couldn't really do anything about it to bring it back. He had the butterflies closed. He was off the throttle, and poor Dave Richards, man, just going down. Dale left first. There was a lot of staggered starts in qualifying because of the way that the sun was hitting the Christmas tree. You couldn't really see one side or the other. A lot of times it seemed like the left lane left first and the right lane left off of the left lane. And poor Dave Richards had nowhere to go at that particular point. And for you tuning in, if you have not seen it or not sure what we're talking about, if you didn't see it on competitionplus.com or NHRA's Facebook page or on the FS1 shows, we'll go ahead and take a look at that just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Thankfully, both Dale Creasy Jr. As well as Dave Richards are okay. You hate to see it for a low-budget team the way that both of those are. I don't know what it does for the rest of their seasons or even their futures going on beyond that. If they have, I'm sure that they don't have backup cars. I mean, it's definitely a financial hit for both of them.
Dale Creasy Peanut, as they call him. Been doing this a long, long time. Wow, Richards went in and double bulbed. I don't think he meant to do that. Whoa, hang on. No. Oh. Creasy's car made a hard move across the center line. They got together.
And down here with Dave Richards' team, Dave is checking in with his crew members right now. Dave, scary moment there. First off, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just a little shook it up, but I'm just emotional. Like, see all my guys here. I know my wife's probably freaking out at home. My mom, I'm fine, okay? I got a few bruises, but I'll be okay. The safety equipment did their job. I'm just, you know, that's scary. That was a scary deal. He came over quick, and then I was going towards the wall again, and there's no steering left, and hit banged, and you know, I'm okay. So I just want everyone home. I'm fine, all right? I'm sorry. I just can't talk right now.
Glad he's okay.
Has every right to be as emotional as he is.
Oh, no question. When you're in a car that's going that kind of rate of speed, and then, well, let's take a look. Both cars making a decent run the first 300 feet, and right there, Creasy's car starts. He's off the throttle there, and it's just not coming back. And he gets over there, gets into, wow. And at this point, both drivers are just basically along for the ride.
And then this is where it gets even crazier. You can see Richard's car, no steering left. He is hopeless or helpless to do anything but the car hammering the wall there. And then Creasy's car also hammers in behind him. It was difficult for all of us to see this in real time, it almost looked like they had hit each other twice, but in reality they were spread out enough. Both cars got into the concrete. We also saw that when the impact caused the tire to go down on Creasy's car, one of the reasons these cars have the shielding they do, both in front and the rear of the driver, is to minimize the area anything can get in toward them.
Yeah, the driver's in a pretty solid cage, but it's turned into more and more of a cocoon over the years to keep anything from coming in.
Again, just a terrible, terrible incident to happen to both of them. Again, thankful that they are both okay. It was a very, very downing way to start qualifying to have that happen. I believe that was only the first or second pair of funny cars to go down the track, and it was kind of like, boy, I hope that's not how this weekend turns out. But definitely a scary moment for both. Glad that they're both okay. Qualifying resumed, like we said. Bob Tasca, number 1, 382.2. John Force, 382.3. Robert Height, 383. Ron Capps, Matt Hagens at 384s. J.R. Todd, 385. I mean, the field was stacked, and you got guys like Tim Wilkerson and Cruz Pedregon on the bottom half of the field running 380s going into first round without any lane choice. But Matt Hagen, who is usually one of the contenders that is the one that is making the throwdown runs, he only qualified into 5th spot with that 384. It was surprising that he wasn't right out there with 82s and 3s just like everybody else. But they had a solid race day tune-up, and let's take a look at how he advanced through the day today. First round against Paul Lee. Paul in the right lane just does puff the tires. Matt gets it down the track with a 389.5 at 318.88, which puts him in the second round up against – I got that backwards here. We got him here up against Alex Laughlin, who has an explosion of his own, gets a little bit out of the groove. The motor lets go, and it splits the body right in the middle. And it's amazing because it didn't actually break it. It just blew out the part by the windshield and the brace on the side. But that cost Matt lane choice up against Tim Wilkerson in the semifinals. Matt in the bad lane goes out there and goes 387.5, 328 miles an hour down the quote-unquote bad lane to make it to the final round, where he would face a very, very, very surprising and resurgent John Force, who seemingly came out of nowhere at this particular event. Not only the great run in qualifying, the 382.3, then you've got, which tied his career best, then you got him first round. Nobody can get down the track, it seems like, to match their performances. He goes 383.9, 331.74 out of nowhere on to round 2, where it lines up against Cruz Pedregon for the 122nd time in their career. And Cruz was having a bit of a resurgence as well. He was winning rounds on performance, and he gave John a run for his money here too. But again, John gets down that left lane with a 384 to Cruz's 388, which was, I believe, Cruz's best run of the weekend. It just wasn't enough, which set up a semifinal run up against J.R. Todd. And it was very surprising because you kind of thought that the string would be there and he'd run another 380, a little bit of a delay staging, and all of a sudden both of them smoked the tires. It turns into a bit of a pedal fest. John gets it to recover first, and then again, another explosion right through the finish line, shreds that body right in half, blows the burst panel out of it, blows the relief panels on the side of the blower out of it, cracks the fender on it. But the team was able to get a new body ready to go for the final round. They got the chassis redone, all the lines, tubing, everything reworked for the chassis to get that to be able to be reused. Just had to replace the body only for the final. But before we get to the final round, when we saw Alex Laughlin in the second round, there's a reason for that. And in some of these first round races that we had here, Robert Hyde against Terry Haddock. Robert gets out there, just blitzes the tires. He does an epic job to pedal it, but still gets outran by Terry Haddock's 422 over Robert's 424. That just wasn't enough. Then a couple pairs later, Ron Capps, Alex Laughlin line up. Alex deep stages. Ron Capps doesn't make it past 100 foot. He's lighting up the tires. Alex gets close to the center line, but takes out Ron Capps. And you can see Guido there just looking up going, what the heck happened? And then you've got Jim Dunn there at the starting line. So amazing to see of the top four that we were talking about, the big four in funny car. Again, two of them don't make it through first round, Robert Height and Ron Capps, and that really does hurt them in the points. as we'll see here in a little bit. But that's how their day ended. But John Force and Matt Hagan. Now, I wouldn't say that John Force was going to get himself back into the championship picture, but he could definitely help his teammate Robert Height by stopping Matt Hagan from putting another 20 points in his pocket. But at this particular point, Hagan was already the points leader, and we'll see how it ends up here with John Force and Matt Hagan in the funny car final.
Pre-staged, ready to go for the trophy in Texas. John Force smokes the tires, and Matt Hagan goes 3.8. 8.3 at 332 miles an hour. Hagan wins it. Number 49 in his career, and he'll add some more points to his total as we head to the last two races of the season, and Matt Hagan tries to bring American Rebel their championship, tries to bring Tony Stewart a championship.
Matt just wanted to congratulate his teammate really quick. You're looking at 2 points leaders that is owned by Tony Stewart Racing. And Matt, Tony was saying that you had a different focus here this weekend. What changed?
You know, I mean, like I said, all greatness comes from God. And all I did this morning was say, you know, let's have a great day and give me the ability to drive this race car to the best of my ability. And we have a great crew around us, you know, with American Rebel, Johnson Horsepower Garage, you know, all the folks from Dodge, just doing everything we need to do. And we surround ourselves by the best, and we're having the best results out there on the racetrack. We know what we're capable of. We got to go out here and get it done. But I'm proud of my girl here, Leah. Get it done. Good job. Double up TSR. What a great moment here for Tony Stewart Racing. I know Tony's down there. He's probably got a grin from ear to ear. I hope he does, because I sure do.
Huge win for Matt Hagan, and it brings him from third all the way to first in the points. As we look through the standings here real quick, so now Hagan has assumed the lead from third, replacing Bob Tasca, who with the win is now 36 points back. Robert Height is now third, 69 points back. Ron Capp stays fourth, but he is now 99 behind. John Force with his runner-up finish moves from ninth all the way up to fifth in points, but he's 198 back. Even with a win, it would have swung a 40-point swing. He would have been 158 out. He still would have been an outside chance for a championship the last two races, but it still is going to be the big four going through the last two races. J.R. Todd in sixth, 212 back. Chad Green falls down to seventh, 221 behind with his first round loss. Tim Wilkerson, 225 back. Alexis DeJoria, 265 back. Alex Laughlin, 267. And Cruz Pedregon 312 back. And basically, as soon as Matt Hagan shows up and qualifies at Las Vegas, Cruz Pedregon is officially eliminated from championship competition at this point. Here is the funny car ladder to show how everybody's day played out. We had mentioned John Force, Jeff Deal, Chad Green, and Cruz Pedregon was a very surprising first-round matchup, especially for how good Chad Green has been running lately and how much Cruz Pedregon's team has been struggling lately. But Cruz managed to get it down the track and with a 393 and matched Chad Green's 393. He was a little bit quicker on the starting line and a little bit quicker in elapsed time, 332.10 miles an hour. It was just a great side-by-side drag race all the way down. Robert Height, again, an upset to Terry Haddock, J.R. Todd and Blake Alexander. On the other side of the ladder, Matt Hagan and Paul Lee, we went through. Ron Capp's upset by Alex Laughlin. Tim Wilkerson and Alexis DeJoria was supposed to be, I believe that what they were billing from NHRA as the marquee matchup of Funny Car because they were number 8 and 9 qualifiers and it should have been the closest match of the day. But it turned out to be a little bit of a pedal fest and for Alexis, and Tim Wilkerson had a little bit of problems late, but was able to coast by for the win. Jack Wyatt and Bob Tasca, again, a little bit of a scare for Bob. He was lost power early. I'm not sure what exactly it was that happened that shut the car off, but he did not make it to the finish line under power. But thankfully for him, neither did Jack Wyatt, because Jack was definitely, if he was able to keep the foot down to the floor and get going, that could have been another upset, and Tasca could have been gone first round too. Surprising second round of eliminations, Tim Wilkerson and Bob Tasca. So Tim Wilkerson in the right lane, the quote-unquote bad lane, 386 to Tasca's 392. Tasca had a little bit of a hole shot, but Tim getting the win is what really set the ball rolling for Matt Hagan. Everybody looking through, and if you made a ladder to begin with, I know I had penciled in a Bob Tasca, Matt Hagan semifinal, and Tim Wilkerson basically beat him there to it and allowed Hagan to basically take the points lead and stretch it on from here. So it'll be interesting to see again with these last two races of the year. Again, the top four in funny car within 99 points. I don't know if you have a clear favorite just yet. It's going to be interesting to see. Qualifying is going to make a huge difference. I wouldn't say that Ron Capps being 99 back is out of the deal yet, but definitely needs some qualifying points, and he definitely needs to go at least one more round than Hagan. I would say he would have to go into Pomona somewhere in the 60-point range to feel like he has a real legitimate shot going forward with that. So it'll be interesting again to see just how it plays out and if the upsets can continue, because we talked about going rounds and being consistent, and that's something that we have not seen from these drivers in the last couple of events. Very, very surprising, but it just shows to show how tough this class really is. Comment here, Dwayne McDaniel. Fun fact, all winners today from top fuel to top alcohol funny car are current points leaders. That is correct, yes. They took their leads throughout the day. Some of them strengthened and lengthened them. And then, as you'd mentioned in the top alcohol ranks, we crowned champions this weekend with Julie Natas and Doug Gordon picking up not only race wins, but season-long championships, which is surprising that they were able to clinch it so early. You still got the Las Vegas National event, the Las Vegas Divisional, and the World Finals, or In-N-Out Burger Finals, I believe it's called now, at In-N-Out Burger Raceway Pomona. Still to go, but already some championships crowned here today in Dallas. It's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, especially for Tony Stewart. I think that the Nitro win today, the Nitro double up, was a little bit of consolation. I did not see where they ever aired the interview that Amanda had with him on Saturday after losing in the second round. But she said that he seemed like he was visibly upset, and he felt like he knew that it was over, and he felt like he threw it away and that his championship hopes were done. And obviously, as the weekend went on and you had Julie Natas pick up the win, that was the case. And at this particular point, we will go ahead and look at the Sportsman winners from the weekend. Julie Natas, aforementioned, championship winning run. Doug Gordon picks up the championship. Jim Greenhack picks up the win in comp. Tyler Wodarczyk in super stock. Jerry Emmons picks up a win in stock eliminator. Super comp went to Michael Holcomb. Trevor Larson picks up super gas. Kurt Frederick in top sportsman over David Quadra in the top sportsman final. Holden Laris in top dragster, and Letty Lodig picked up the factory showdown win. And shout out to the factory showdown cars, who were also a lot of career bests were run in that category. It did not eclipse the record that Mark Powick had set at the last event at the 758, but a lot of 760 to 765s. It took even a 779 just to make the show at this event. So it was an epic weekend for the factory stock showdown contenders. And also on Friday and Saturday, they held the Jegs Allstars. Julie Natas happened to do a double up, winning the Jegs Allstars again for the third year in a row, doubled up with the national event, won the championship. It was a huge weekend of racing for her, and it is rumored to be stepping up to top fuel dragster next year, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Top alcohol funny car, Sean Bellemere picks up the win. Chase Williams in comp. Tony Olsanowski in super stock. Joe Sorensen in stock. Mark Powers wins super comp. Rusty Cook, another win in super gas. Art Hoover in super street. Dean Hall picks up top sportsman, and Brandon Miller picks up top dragster. And the overall championship went to Division 7. I believe I was told, I'm not 100% on this, I haven't had a chance to check it, that this was their first ever Jegs All-Star Championship for Division 7. So if that is the case, congratulations to them. And it was a very, very epic, hard-fought battle, and there was a lot of D7 drivers in the final. I believe it was also the North Central region that won in the alcohol classes. I'm trying to remember now how it played out in the final round. Basically, for Sean Bellemere, if he had lost, it was going down to 3 positions for a tiebreaker, but Sean Bellemere ended up winning the final and clinching it for that division. So at this particular point, we're going to go ahead and take a bit of a break, and then we will be back with the Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle recaps.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
And as we return, I got to get this other banner off. Where is that? We've got a new addition to. Hey, there he is, straight from the Destroyer 1320 commercial himself.
Right.
Monday Morning Racer Lee Craft has morphed right into the video. He's here with us live from Ennis, Texas. How's it going, Lee?
Wow, I'm tired. I am growing, or rather, with having the eclipse, I should say that I'm waxing more and more tired as the day goes on. But man, what a tremendous event the Stampede of Speed was. This event keeps getting better and better, and this one was certainly historic on so many levels. I know that Darren was on briefly. I know you have been holding the fort down. I'm not sure how far you've got, but looking forward to the rest of the show wherever we're at, because this was a tremendous event. I'm glad it's in the stockyards, but it was good.
Well, we had already gone through the Nitro categories, and I had just wrapped up the Sportsman winners. But again, since I know that you love, that is your bread and butter, the alcohol classes, you can still just echo the sentiments again on what an epic weekend it was for the Randy Meyer Racing Team, for Julie Natus to get not only the championship, the Jegs Allstars, the race win. I mean, probably the best weekend of her career, I would say. And Doug Gordon wrapping up his championship with a race win. Epic weekend for him as he is in his final year of competition before stepping out of the seat. Angel Sampay makes her top alcohol dragster debut, makes it to the semifinal round. I mean, there's so many storylines. Christine Foster with that massive run into first round to take out Annie Whiteley, and then comes back with a huge wheel stand with a broke wheelie bar that'll make the highlight reels. I mean, where do you pick? What's the top story of that category? Because, man, there are a bunch of stories.
For sure, bunch of stories. I think Lucas Oil Top Alcohol Competition this week experienced one of the, honestly, the best headlining weekend for them together as an alcohol competing classes that I think I can recall from the recent past. I mean, certainly when Megan Meyer goes and lowers the ET record, I think three years ago, that got a lot of attention. But this was just hit after hit after hit and highlight after highlight after highlight for the alcohol competitors, and really showcasing that, yeah, you don't want to leave the stands when alcohol comes up. You need to stay, you need to watch, you need to experience what is happening on the track when alcohol is on the track. Wow. I mean, I just go back to qualifying, that you have a scenario where Angel Sampay makes her debut. She barely gets in. Then she takes out the number one qualifier in Mike Coughlin, who is also a regional champion this year, and she takes out the Samsel Racing ride, which they are extremely, extremely competitive as a team, no matter who steps into that car. And she's going to be stepping in that car for the next couple of races coming up. She takes them out. She is so excited and such a great thing for Corey and Kyle Malik to have her in the ride, get this exposure. So happy for them. Such a great story for them. That car was supposed to be, that car was retired. They were done racing, and there's already a new car on a Copeland jig out here in Texas for them to have in 2024, and they had to turn everything around and cut. Angel said they had to cut some bars. They had to move pedals to make it right for her because Corey's a lot taller than Angel Sempe, and they get everything worked out, and she makes even a semi-final round. I mean, Angel Sempe, clearly a legend in this sport, a rookie, first ever competitive race in Top Alcohol Dragster. She takes out the number 1 qualifier, and she takes out number 2 in points, championship contender Tony Stewart, by the way, who is a legend in his own right in motorsports and is a rookie as well, competing this year in Top Alcohol Dragster, where then it opens up the door for Julie Natus to go on with Randy Meyer tuning to win the world championship, her first ever world championship, and she's 26 years old from Norway, and she's the veteran. What?
Right. And and like you said, added the Jegs All-Star on top of it. I mean, that was the race within a race. I would say a shout out to all of the Top Alcohol teams, particularly the ones competing in that on Saturday, who made it. What I believe there was 4 passes down the track. If you were in the Jegs All-Stars as well, had to turn around that car 3 different times throughout the day, which is pretty small, no small feat for those guys to go through eliminations as well.
For sure. And congratulations to all the Jeg All-Stars competitors, winners. Yes, Julie Natus, I mean, 3-peat there. I mean, she has won that thing. They're going to be glad that she's not in the class anymore. And Sean, Bellemere and the Bartone Brothers Racing outfit won something they hadn't won.
Right.
They had not won that deal because they just hadn't ran in like one region enough to actually accumulate the points to get the invitation to come out and do the thing, and they're able to pick up the win. But wow, Sean Bellemere loses to Kyle Smith. Never count out Kyle Smith, especially at the Texas Motorplex. Kyle and his family, the Smiths, they know how to get down this track. Remember, they're the ones that beat Del Worsham, Funny Car Chaos Classic, first ever time. That alcohol car over a nitro car here 2 years ago. Well, he takes out Sean Bellemere, and that opened up the door for Doug Gordon to win his 3rd championship and defend his title from 2022, and he did just that. Sean Bellemere, I know folks saw it on NHRA.tv. You'll see it on Fox, but I was able to see him in the pits dejected. But you were able to see this in my report from the semifinal action, and also it's in the final round report. What a class act Bartone Brothers Racing is, and Bellemere himself. Doug Gordon, they destroyed a motor. I mean, Rod came out, not just Rod, broke a crank. Rod's done. I mean, it just blew it to smithereens. I'm surprised there wasn't, body damage and things of that nature in a fire, and it was just them cleaning up the scattered parts and pieces off the top end. He had so many hands on deck to get him ready for the final round. We're talking about Matt Bynum with Dale's crew. He was over there helping out. Some other Nitro people. Chris Foster was over there helping out. Nearly everyone, including Sean Bellemere, was working on that car and working on that engine to get Doug Gordon to the final round to face Jim Whiteley. That is the type of competition and competitors and the stories that you get in Top Alcohol, and especially Top Alcohol Funny Car. Very tight-knit group they all are, and that was so cool to see that Bellemere, even though dejected and even though hurt not being able to get that number 1 on the side of that Killer Bees machine, there they are helping who took the championship away from them in 2023 to get the win here at the Fall Nationals.
Well, and to take nothing away from that team, their round 1 performance, that 5:35.9 was a jaw dropper. I believe that they said that it had tied the 2nd quickest run in history with that pass. And I mean, in general, just the entire alcohol categories.
I'm live at the moment, but you're good. No, it's this way. You're good.
We only had a couple of cars that we were short from having a record bump spot in the alcohol dragster class. And unfortunately, the funny cars only featured 14 cars. But I want to say by the time that the race was over, about 7 to 10 of those 14 recorded career best elapsed times here this weekend. Low 540s were the norm, and that's pretty much what you needed to go around. I mean, everybody stepped up. The weather was great. The track was great. It was just an epic show. I do have a comment here that I wanted to ask you about. I did not personally see this, but somebody says, Steve Carter says, how about Aaron Cooper being robbed by a slow-mo opponent? Where are the NHRA starting line officials? What happened there? Any take on that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Steve may be referring to something in the staging process. It might have been a situation where in the etiquette, if you will, someone didn't stage as quickly as maybe they thought they should have. I'm not sure. I actually have to go back and look at the footage. I didn't know or recognize any type of controversy.
I was just quickly scanning through the results just to see the only people. I see that he beat Madison Payne first round, and in the second round he lost to Sean Cowie. Sean Cowie, props to him again. We're talking about these guys throwing down, epic runs. 5-12 in a blown alcohol dragster ties the quickest run, or was the quickest run for a blown alcohol car out there. 281.37. I mean, these guys were bringing their A game here this weekend.
Yes, they certainly were. Also, kind of hard to say about parity when you want a 5-12 out there, and they just went Erica.
I believe that 5-12 was low ET. It held up for low ET of the meet, did it not?
Yes, it did. It did hold up for low ET of the meet.
Did Julie run a 12, or were we?
No, I think the lowest she went was a 14.
Okay, and a 14 also for Mike Coughlin put him at number 1. So 5-12, low ET of the weekend, blown car. Yeah, like you say, does not bode well for any parity arguments going forward with that. So, but epic round of Sportsman racing this weekend. Just shout out to all the teams for getting through. And like you said, the camaraderie, getting Doug Gordon back out there for the final round, lays down a 541, picks up the Wally. A couple more races to go in his career, and Matty takes it over.
And something that surprised me and surprised nearly everyone is no one talked about clinching scenarios coming into this race. I didn't really expect it. I think we all expected Tony to go rounds. I think we all expected Sean Bellemere to go rounds. And when they went out when they did, it was like, oh, wow, this can happen. And it did happen for Julie Natus and Doug Gordon. Julie Natus with her first championship, and Doug Gordon now with 3. I did ask Doug to confirm he will finish out the year in the seat. Maddie does not get the ride anything earlier.
And I'm sure she was probably lobbying for it, but he wants all the seat time he can have since he's not going to be doing it anymore.
Dave, it's amazing when you interact with these people, you interview them, you get to know them a little bit, just how competitive they are. Doug Gordon just won the World Championship. He's won nearly every national event that he's entered, and I think he's won every regional he has been at. I would have to look at the record to make sure, but I mean, to come to Texas and to sew it up, that's what you have got to do, because then you look at what Bellemere has done this year as well, and that body of work. Wow, it is so tremendous what Doug Gordon and that family has been able to accomplish. But he said this. He said, we're still going to run Vegas, the regional, and I need to do well there because there's still a regional championship to win. You just won the world championship. And he's like, I still want to win the regional championship as well. Just how competitive these people are.
Well, I mean, you can't blame them. If you know you're not going to be in it again, you might as well get all the records you can while you got the chance. So, yeah, again, epic performance. Shout out again to all the Sportsman racers. Did not have a video of it, but a pretty nasty crash in comp eliminator, I believe, in the second round. That was pretty ugly. Glad to see that everybody made it out okay on that one as well.
It was ugly. it's on Competition Plus if anyone wants to see the incident. But I rode into the track and where I parked over where they're not the tech sheds, they're like the maintenance sheds from the track. And fairly large little group of buildings. Well, I was pulling in, rolling in, and the rollback with that car was rolling by as I was rolling in. And man, that door car was used up.
Yeah,
I think the only door car I've seen that used up or worse is Scott Palmer's Studezilla and the aftermath of it. I mean, the tubing of the front end of that chassis was completely smashed all the way back to the motor plate. It was a tremendous hit that man took.
Yeah, and Darren and I were talking at the beginning of the show. This kind of had a throwback Chief Nationals type of feel, and the Texas Motorplex sure ate up some cars this weekend. We already touched on the funny car crash.
Carnage.
Dave Richards and Dale Creasy. Clay Milliken with that huge power wheel stand when he pedaled it almost turned into a blowover. Christine Foster with her broke wheelie bar, put the thing on the back bumper and the body blew off. Two competition eliminator cars getting together. Alex Laughlin's body-destroying explosion. John Force's body-destroying explosion. We had a lot of carnage on top of Doug Gordon with his blown motor. And Troy Coughlin Jr., for that matter, with his blown motor in the semifinals that we have not got to yet, but we will be next here as we get into Pro Stock Eliminator. But just a lot of carnage all the way around, mechanical. Thankfully, everybody's okay. No injuries to anybody. And they all live to race another day.
They do, and I agree. A lot of carnage this weekend. The Texas Motorplex has the nickname of like Murderplex, and it does sometimes tend to live up to it some strange way. And I did talk to Dave Richards and Paul Richards as well, but Dave Richards briefly. You know, I, in my career, have a connection with them. One of my first ever videos is connected with that race team on my YouTube channel, and Dave was good. He was coming out of the stands after watching some drag racing, and I was like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, man, I am very, very sore. And I don't know if look, if y'all get a chance, you're at a race, and Dave Richards is there. He is not a little man. Dave is a very tall individual. He is built, and for him to be like, hey, I am sore, I am tired, I am wore out, you can just only imagine what it's like to go through something like that. And Creasy was in good spirits as well. He had his elbow, one of them bandaged up pretty good, but it wasn't broke or anything of that nature. It was just like going to be a deep bruise type of situation. Creasy did mention he had already been thinking, not like before getting in the car, but after the incident, maybe it's time. Maybe it is time. He recognizes he's had a couple of these type of moments. But he said also, looking at the data, that the wheel spin began at the 270 mark, and he was out of it by the 280 mark. That's 10 feet within that type of car.
Right. And it was, well, that's what we were talking about when we watched the replay. I mean, he was out of it right away. It just, the trajectory of the car and the momentum just carried it over there, and I'm sure he had the wheel cranked, because the last thing you want to do is get into the other lane, no different than when he had that tire smoking adventure at Norwalk with Ron Capps in the other lane when he just skidded by and missed a perfect opportunity to make contact there. Sometimes these cars just, they do what they do. And I believe it was, it might have been Dell Worsham, who was being interviewed after Alexis had a dart to the wall in qualifying, missed it, didn't come close. You know, a lot of guys came close, and he was just saying these cars are evil to drive, especially in that situation. Even when you let off the gas, you're off the throttle, you're on the brake, or you're reaching for the parachute, you got a handful of wheel on it. The way that these headers are angled, and when they drop cylinders and just the thrust pushing them one way or the other, sometimes they're just out of control, and there's nothing you can do. You're a passenger.
Absolutely. And I just think that it's best, even though like this very show, it's built on opinion, it's built on what we think, it's giving commentary. I think one area we have to be careful is armchair driving.
For sure.
Because there is the exception, and the exception always in drag racing seems to come to John Force. Look what happened earlier this year in Pomona, and then he swings right back and shows, no, I can still drive this thing. So
right,
it's hard to be an armchair driver or general or quarterback or anything. Just get out of your armchair.
Right, exactly. And with that, we're going to go on ahead and enjoy the Pro Stock highlights. That'll be our next class that we're going to go over here with mentioning Troy Coughlin and his epic driving with a complete cloud of smoke and no ability to see. But we're breaking down Pro Stock Eliminator next. Pro Stock Eliminator as a whole, props to the class. I know that the track conditions have a lot to do with it. I know that the air has a lot to do with it. Quickest field in Pro Stock history. First time that it has happened to be quicker than a 655 bump by Larry Morgan at the 2012 Gator Nationals. Finally, 11 and a half years later, the new bump spot records drops down to a 653 with a 6 with Chris McGahey on the bump spot. And a 648.0 to be number one. Actually, 648.0 to 648.9 was the spread from 1 through 7 or 1 through 8, I believe, all within 100th in the first half of the field. I mean, this was as close can be, as we expect, as always, with the Pro Stock category. But on Sunday, when it came time to turn on win lights, no surprise who ended up in victory lane today, is it?
I'm sorry, Dave. What? I was distracted.
I said no surprise when it came time to turn on win lights. Who ended up being in winner's circle today in Pro Stock?
For sure, yes. And she's actually just beyond the wall in the media center, and she has a knack for one coming to Texas, even when it was Houston, and when it gets into serious critical moments, turning on win lights and getting the job done. And just it's so hard with this event because there was such good conditions across the board and everybody was on their P's and Q's. Like where do you highlight? And I know we're highlighting Pro Stock right now. Again, stellar to see now in this era that we're in away from carburetors, the tremendous strides that they have made, and it has come a long, long way.
It really has, and like I say, as a whole, the entire field was so close. You knew it was going to come out to most likely who let the clutch out first is seemingly where it was going to end up. But when it came time to race day, Erica kind of alluded to it in her first round interview. They must have found something with that car because all 4 of her race day runs were the quickest runs of the weekend, quicker than Greg Anderson's #1 qualifying spot. Whatever they found from qualifying to eliminations, she was running on mean. And other than her first round 0.56 reaction time, I mean, she was killer on the tree all day, and she really wanted it. You know, it seems like here, and obviously we don't race Houston anymore, but when we were at the Houston National event, she digs deep and she just finds that little extra performance and goes out there and gets these big wins, which monumental for her this weekend, becomes the winningest female in NHRA history with her 47th career win, 46 in Pro Stock, 1 in Super Gas, 47 overall. She's the best.
Certainly is. And Jill Senpei is coming, though. She's going to be in Top Fuel soon. but.
Well, you know, and it's funny because I as the rounds kept going, I'm like, they kept hyping it up. Erica, you know, it's a big weekend for Erica. She's chasing a milestone. And I'm like, What if Angel would stop alcohol dragster and just pushes that milestone that much further out? They could possibly both win in the same race on the same weekend, and Erica does not get to be the winningest female because Angel adds another one to her total too.
Right. It is phenomenal. Again, go back to speaking about competitors and Doug Gordon. He's like, hey, I still want to win a regional championship, even though he won the world championship. It is amazing how someone, like Erica Enders, is able to step up and get a win. There she is right there, Erica. Hey. Hi. So there she is. Hey, one question before you do. I know you're already going to go. You will get probably to pick dessert next year. What are you going to pick?
We lost you, Lee. We lost your microphone. We don't hear any sound anymore when you bump the camera. The struggles of live TV. Lee, we missed it because you hit the microphone button. You muted yourself, buddy. We got no sound. Can't hear you. We got nothing. Nope. No sound. You might have muted yourself, unfortunately, at that particular point. But while Lee gets his struggles figured out, let's take a look at Erica Enders' day here. And going into first round against Eric Latino. Low ET of the weekend, of race day, comes right here. Eric gets a little bit of a starting line advantage, and then you just see Erica driving away. Love that shot out the passenger side window as she drives to a 6:46 with a 7, 212.23, and that pretty much sets the tone for race day. Round number 2 against corporate teammate Christian Quadra. Again, Erica out first, and this just gives you a shining example of her driving away. Puts a half car length on him, 6:47.3, 211 miles an hour, to set up another teammate matchup with Troy Coughlin Jr. Very big, important matchup for Troy in the points to keep himself in the championship. Keeps pace with Erica all the way up to just past half track when the motor lets go. Troy, in a huge plume of smoke, was able to get the thing stopped with a very, very, very slight brush against the right-hand outer guardrail. It could have been
yeah, I'm live. Hey, Joe Costello.
Oh, we got sound.
I can hear you. You know what? What's up? Well, live inside NHRA. Darren Williams show, American Hot Rod Entertainment.
Where's Darren Williams?
He's Bakersfield, doing the hard work out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
How you doing? What'd you think of that? Was that awesome? The Stampede Speed, the whole thing.
It was
the
spectacular.
Epic adventure.
They keep stepping it up somehow.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of hard work and effort that goes into that. No, year 1 was like, what is this? Year 2 was like, hey, this thing is sort of a thing. And year 3 this year, it took shape. It became its thing. The addition of the Jegs Allstars and the great weather. Come on, the weather really had everything to do with all the records. Personal best, quickest pro stock field ever. John Force, quickest run of his career, goes to the final round. All that. Tony Stewart, double up, just all of that. Those factory stockers, just everything. Just total epic. And it was comfortable. Like, oh my gosh, that makes all the difference in the world. So we had a great time. Great.
We're talking about pro stock in particular right now in the segment of the show. Give us a rundown.
Well, Erica Enders was just in the media center, and, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for those guys. Like, I don't want to just give it to Erica. There's a long way to go, 1.5 points at Pomona, but Erica leaves here with the points lead, a considerable lead. She's going to Vegas, where she's the winningest driver of all drivers. She loves that track. She clinched there last year. It's going to be hard to stop that train. It's going to be real hard to stop that train. And they need to start doing that, try to qualify 16th or get next to her early and take shots. We're already that. There's 2 races left to go. Greg Anderson has been awesome. Matt Hartford, Dallas Glenn, having great career years. But Erica Enders, 5-time champ, the winningest female racer in world history, NHRA drag racer. Amazing.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
So it's just good stuff.
Joe Costello, the voice of the Stampede Speed.
I just dived in on your show. Sorry
good,
to do
good,
that,
man. No,
Lee.
good.
Good to see you guys. Later.
Thank you. And Lee, when you moved your phone, when Erica was up there, you muted yourself
killed-
or did something.
Yeah,
So I did not.
I-
What was your question?
so-
You asked about dinner or dessert or something?
Yeah, so I'm corded. I need like wireless apparently. And when I turned, I caught because I talk with my hands and my arms, and it knocked the cord out. Therefore, it went silent. Yes, I asked her, "What are you going to pick for dessert?" Because she picked an entree this year. Well, at the Champions Dinner, she'll probably pick dessert next year, and she said bread pudding.
Sorry. That's interesting.
Oh, you're fine. You're good.
Interesting. But that's good. That's why she's just still getting out of the media center right now. They must. You guys must be really late out there, huh?
Oh no. Let me see, Allie. You got a moment? Okay. Okay. Let's keep talking. But Allie Bland's going to come on, and she is NHRA media and media director. And I'm going to take what you just said. We're going to get you the answer, okay? Because this is a very interesting answer. Yeah. But yeah, for our stars, some cameo appearances. Erica, Joe, and Joe had a good gig this whole weekend, like from last weekend to this one. He was the voice of the Stampede, so that was very cool.
Oh, so he was down there for all the Nitro madness
All
throughout
of
the week with Jeff Deal, Terry Haddock, which we were mentioning earlier in the show. Those guys were running funny car. They were there all week. Right. Terry Haddock, I believe, won the Nitro part of the segment earlier in the week. Over Jeff.
Yes, he won the. They called it, I believe, the Texas Invitational, and yes, Terry was able to pick up that win. And Terry had a very good weekend, even here at the Fall Nationals.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did, which we went over earlier in the funny car segment. But
right. Yeah, we are on Pro Stock, and we'll get the answer for the media thing. I'll let you go on next on Pro Stock, Dave.
All right. Well, so the other half of the Pro Stock final, as we went through Erica Enders Day, she met a surprising Dallas Glenn in the final, who qualified number 5. First round, lines up against Bo Butner. Here we are riding on Bo's car as he launches in the car, drives hard to the left, right towards the center line, has to push into clutch and get out of it. And unfortunately, watch Dallas Glenn drive away to a 6:49.2 at 210 miles an hour, which puts him in the second round and sets him up against his corporate teammate, Camry Caruso, which Camry got a little bit of a hole shot, not much. Dallas left first and basically drove away at that point, 6:51.5 to Camry's 6:52, which set up a semifinal run. And now we're on Dallas's onboard camera, and you cannot see in the other lane Aaron Stanfield, who happened to roll the beams. The red light came on, had a two-step issue, and 6:50 flat set him up against Erica Enders in the final round of eliminations. Now, Dallas is going 6:49, 51, 50. Erica's going 46, 47, 47. You know that was going to have to be decided right on the starting line. And let's take a look how it played out.
Get well, Sean, on the back of both. That might be the only thing they agree on. They staged at the identical moment. Off the starting line, Erica with the advantage. At the finish line, Erica with the advantage. 6.469, 211 miles an hour. Dallas, 6.493, 210 miles an hour. Erica had an 026 light. That put her in charge. She ran 6:46. That put her in the winner's circle.
And the Elite Motorsports team just made it at the top, and to congratulate the now winningest female in NHRA history. And you hold that, Wally. What will this one symbolize for you?
Oh man, we have a lot that mean an awful lot to us, but this one does a lot for self-confidence and for my team. But as a little girl that was 8 years old with big dreams to be a professional driver one day in a junior dragster and working my way through the Lucas Oil Series and now being here for 20 years, this one will sit proudly alongside of some other ones. But I give God all the glory, man. This has been quite the journey for us. It's not been easy, way more valleys than peaks, but I give the Lord the credit and my team, man. Richard Freeman gave me an opportunity 10 years ago, and we've never looked back. So for JHD and Melling, Gallagher People East, C-Tech, CHE, Jim Greenheck won, Michael Holcomb won, Jerry Emmons won, David Quadro was in the finals. So this was quite the exciting weekend for us, but we did it, baby. Woo!
Oh, yeah, okay. So, Ali Bland, sorry. The director, NHRA Media. No, whatever. NHRA Media. Let's put it that way.
She's the CEO
Dave.
of the NHRA Media Department.
Dave.
It says he's CEO. I mean,
Oh.
Anyway, Dave was asking, wow, y'all are really, really late. Why are we late in the media center on an elite win?
What do you mean?
Why do we
we're
hang
in
back?
Texas, and they have lots of folks that they're here for. So yeah,
Elite takes a little bit longer,
yeah,
though, don't
they have lots of
Yeah.
family and friends nearby, and lots of photos to take. So
Lots of photos.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
called the Elite Way.
Yes. Thank you.
Allie does a
See
great
ya.
job.
Okay.
Keep it
thank
up.
you. See you later.
Well, Lee, did she drive it back? After Winter Circle, Erica, you know what she always does.
I don't know. No, okay, I don't think so, because this winter circle is different. They go in front of the tower, and it would have to circle back through some not the typical winter circle, and there's a lot of there's a lot of set up around where they're taking photos. And I know Elon Warner actually went down and corralled them to get to the media center because we had to wait for a while.
Well, that's a big win for Erica. Extends her points lead. Greg Anderson, a very, very surprising early round loss on a hole shot to Aaron Stanfield. Really hurt his chances. He was, I'm sure, really hoping for Dallas Glenn to win that final round just as much as Dallas was to keep both of them in better contention. But don't have a graphic for the point standings, but reading them off, Erica Anders obviously extends her lead. She is now 85 points up on Greg Anderson, 93 up on Dallas Glenn, 108 on Matt Hartford, 123 over Aaron Stanfield, 145 over Troy Coughlin Jr., who also needed that huge semifinal win to get him back into the thick of things. Derek Kramer, who had such a promising season, squared the tire first round, went out 202 points behind with 2 races to go. Kyle Koretsky, 235 back. Camry Caruso, 249. Christian Quadra, 266. Bo Butner, 270. And everybody else back, there are only 321 points remaining in the season. Fernando Quadra, Jerry Tucker, Chris McGahey, Mason McGahey, and Fernando Sr. are officially eliminated from championship competition, with this event completing here today and a win from Erica. And a couple of comments here. Dallas was just another race. If anything, that shows tracks that you can do things to make your race special. Yeah, I would say I would agree with that, Drag Race Mayhem. James comments, great final between my 2 favorites in Pro Stock today. I would have been happy with whoever won either way. Well, James, thankfully it worked out in Erica's way, and she's on her way to championship number 6. Ralph White, thanks for tuning in. Great show, guys. I'm enjoying the cameos. Jim Ignis, I would watch more, but I don't want to have people talking while I'm watching a drag race. Well, we're not really watching a drag race here. We're kind of recapping it, but that's the whole point of the show, is to talk about it, kind of like a recap show where we give our insights, opinions, and the results of what happened. But we appreciate you tuning in anyway, and we'll try and show more drag racing for you here in the future.
That was very nice of you, Dave. I just got to say, Jim, read a description.
Well, we are a recap show. Yes, that is correct. That is what we are here for, and we are recapping the epic 2023 Texas Fall Nationals, which was, again, one for the record books. We've covered almost all of the record-breaking performances. Really, the only class that we have left to touch on is the Gage Herrera Invitational, which is also known as Pro Stock Motorcycle. And before we dive into that dominance, I would like to answer this question real quick. The Troy Coughlin blow-up was the first since Erica's last year in 21. No. Troy actually launched a motor in the Chicago race earlier this year. I believe it was the semifinals or final round of the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge in qualifying. Troy had a blow up as well at Joliet and also saved the car from damage there. But putting that answer out there to Cap Pro Stock. Now we can move on to the epic, dominating Vance and Hines performance. And it wasn't just Gage this time. He ran his teammate and good pal Eddie Krawick in the final round again. They are now 1-2 in points after this one is wrapped up. But I think for me, the 662 was the biggest shock. 666, the quickest run of the entire class coming in, and he crushes it by 0.04 of a second. How epic was that run?
Again, it lines up so well with what this event produced that across the board we see best ETs. Personally, we see best ETs in miles per hour for this track, and then yes, you see what they do with such a number being posted. Just tremendous. You got to wonder, especially like Pro Stock Motorcycle, Pro Stock, like when are they going to tap out on what the heck they're able to do? And people continue to find ways to get, honestly, I count that as like a chunk in performance, not just a little bit, a chunk in these days and times that we're in drag racing to be able to have that particular type of elapsed time. And I will say, for the bikes, I think they might have had some of the most challenging conditions out of all the classes. I was very surprised when interviewing Angelle Stampede for the first time this weekend. Angelle mentioned concerning her qualifying, making passes, going up for round one, that, wow, I don't have to worry about the wind. I don't have to worry about this crosswind. There was a crosswind every day, and it was very stiff today. I asked Gage Herrera after going number one in the media center, I said, hey, Gage, Angelle mentioned the wind and that driving in a four-wheel vehicle now in a dragster, she's like, I didn't have to worry about it. Just how critical is the wind to you all? He's like, that's the last thing we check before we make a run, and we will make a final adjustment based on the wind. It is the most important part of the weather that they're actually factoring in compared to all the other classes.
Yeah, and we have another friendly face joining us there.
Oh gosh, this is a cameo where I need to step on out. Yeah.
He is
What's up, guys?
Right back in to join up right with the Pro Stock Motorcycles, and as Drag Racing Mayhem commented, because of the wind, Chase Van Zandt nearly tagged the wall because of it. But I don't know if he did get into the wall, but he definitely injured his knee in some way, shape, or form. When they interviewed him, he's like, I don't want to get too graphic with it, but that incident put him out for the season, I believe. Definitely the rest of this weekend, but potentially the rest of the season because he had to have surgery, if I'm not mistaken, he was saying. So that's kind of a big deal there for Chase Van Zandt. That's 2 weekends in a row we've lost 2 bike riders due to injury. So, you hate to see that going forward, especially 2 countdown riders. And as I mentioned, that shout out to Angie Smith. Hope that you're watching, recovering well. Miss you being out there on the track, kicking butt like everybody else was out there. And now because the Smiths are down a rider, now the Vance and Hines teams are just running away from everybody. And I think what makes Gage's performance more exceptional to me is, other than Eddie Krawick's 669, there was nobody else in the 60s. I mean, he was consistently 8 to 500s quicker than everybody else going down the track this weekend. And like we always talk, how do you beat it? How do you beat it?
You gonna say something, Darren?
I don't know how much connection I have left. I just came on to say what's up, you guys. I am live here from Bakersfield. Tried to come on at the beginning of the show, but Dave W, you're doing a great job. Thank you, Lee, for filling in as well this weekend. I really do appreciate it. I know my.
Hey, I'm gonna send you the bill. I got the celebrities on tonight for your show. I'm sending you the bill, man.
Yeah, you did miss it. We had Erica on. We had Allie Bland from NHRA. We had Joe Costello. He was just doing cameo interviews right outside. He's picking up his red carpet performance from the other day.
Right.
Trying to grab people as they walk by. Going, hey, come here and talk to me, please. Please be on our show. Get us some ratings here.
That's super cool. I'm about to go back and watch it. But like I said, I don't know how much time I have left because I still have to write the recap for Bakersfield, the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals, and I don't know when my connection's going to go out. So just want to say what's up, you guys. Thank you, Lee and Dave, for filling in for me here tonight. And just want to give a shout out first off to Pete Wittenberg getting a win in Top Field Eliminator here in Bakersfield. His first Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals win. He's won the March Meet twice. First time he's won the finale. But also congratulations to Tyler Hilton. He goes back-to-back, wins the 2023 NHRA Top Field Championship in the Heritage Series. He gets it done by Kenny Chassie. I know, Lee. I know you dig that right there. Just got done talking with Tyler Hilton. And congratulations to Bobby Cottrell. You think, oh, well, Bobby Cottrell won again. Well, guess what? The season finale race at Bakersfield has eluded Cottrell the past couple of years. He hasn't won it since 2019. 2021, he cracked the fuel tank in the semifinals. To 2022, he broke a rear end. So this is Bobby Cottrell's first win at the season finale since 2019. He gets the win, his 6th consecutive NHRA Heritage Series Funny Car Championship. Just want to give a shout out to those winners and you guys.
I think that was your cue to leave, Darren.
Yeah, bye guys. Take care.
That was you remember Darren's annoying ass horn that he used to play? That was Darren's cue right there. He just come in and honk the horn and remember the short-lived sound effects added to the show?
Very short-lived, and rightfully so.
Still tune in to watch this thing, but hey, you know what? You never know what's going to happen live, especially when you're
right.
But back to finishing up in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I mean, again, epic day for Gage Herrera for the Vance Hines team. Gage's day starts out first round against a returning Blaine Hale, who has not qualified for an event in over a decade. But he gets the best seat in the house to watch Gage Herrera go 665, 202 miles an hour to start out his day. That lines him up with Chris Bostic in round 2, where again, 665.6, a 204.01, his second best speed of the weekend. He ran 204.16 in qualifying, matched up with his 662. That puts him in the semifinals. Huge run against Hector Arana Jr. And again, 666 with a 1 at 203 miles an hour takes out Hector Arana. And that puts him in the final round matchup up against his teammate, Eddie Krawick, who started his day against a returning Corey Reed. 685.3, definitely a beatable run for Eddie, who spun the tire on the first 60 foot. Didn't have a great launch, but managed to carry it through the finish line. And then again, huge points implications. 2 and 3 into points. Second round of eliminations. Eddie Krawick, Matt Smith. Eddie Krawick gets the win, 673.1, 201 miles an hour. Takes out number 2 contender Matt Smith. And that early round exit could come back to haunt Matt. Not that it's going to matter in the championship anyway, I don't feel. But that sets up a semifinal run with Joey Gladstone, who had nothing but problems in qualifying. But best run of the weekend for Eddie Krawick. Gets his bike finally in the 60s with a 669.2, 203.88. Again, going for his 50th career win up against Gage Herrera, who is going for his 8th win in his 7th final round of the season.
Andrew Hines watched, was impressed, and called. And Gage Herrera, in his first year with Vance and Hines, is kicking the life out of everybody. Can he keep it going, or will his teammate be the one to stop him? Both drivers away on a green, and Gage Herrera does to Eddie what he does to everybody else. Send him home. 6.644, 203 miles an hour. Eddie goes 6.706, 202. Gage Herrera wins again.
Gage Herrera just staring at his hardware, and we talked to you at the top of the show about your year from last year to now. Talk about the difference 365 days can make.
Oh, it can make a world of difference. You know, I'm living the dream. You know, not only that, whole Vance Hines Mission Suzuki team, this Gen 3 Hayabusa has been flying all weekend. You know, getting the new national record, and Ed getting a new best last run, and Vance Hines final, and man, this whole weekend has been cool. I'm going home with some cowboy boots. I got a cowboy hat, which, you know, I got to dedicate this race to my papa I lost a couple years ago. He's always wore cowboy boots and cowboy hat, so it means a lot. And yeah, this is it's a special one right here. This is one I'll never forget. So, woo!
My bad, I actually shorted Gage win. That was his 9th win this year in 8 final rounds. 9 wins all this year. And, I mean, you might as well just start engraving it because here's how the Pro Stock motorcycle points lay out. Gage obviously extends his lead. Eddie Krawick, the new second-place rider, at 156 points back. Matt Smith, 174 back. Hector Jr., 179 back. 5th place, Chase Van Zandt, 306 points out of 1st. And 6th place, Angie Smith, down. Gianna Evaristo, Mark Ingerson, Steve Johnson, Kelly Klontz, Chris Bostic, and Ryan Ayler are all over 350 points back and officially eliminated from championship contention after this weekend. So I don't think that there's any doubt in my mind that knowing that you only need to leave Las Vegas 191 ahead of 2nd place, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet that Gage Herrera is going to be lifting that championship check and trophy at the end of the day in Las Vegas.
I agree. What a stellar performance. What a dominating performance. It's honestly hard to put into words and to frame how dominating it is. It will go down as one of the greatest seasons ever for any competitor in drag racing, not just Pro Stock Motorcycle.
I definitely would second that. And Mighty Mac even mentions Gage is also closing on Dave, the legendary Dave Schultz 1994 season record. I mean, he's got 2 events left. I'm sure nobody has really stepped up and shown that they've got the bike to even beat him, including his teammate, who was the closest one to him all day. And at that point, he was still 300s back. And Gage had 200s in front of him when they were left the Christmas tree and went 664. So pretty much Eddie's only chance to winning that final round was going to be running a national record elapsed time and quickest ever run to beat Gage Herrera in that final. So once again, Vance and Hines, I mean, just an epic season. I don't know what we can really say more that we haven't said about Gage on all of these shows throughout the year. It sounds like a broken record because it is, because the man just continues to break Pro Stock motorcycle records race after race after race. And at this point, I feel like the rest of the field's probably going to be starting to work on their 2024 setups and come out swinging there, because that's what you really have to look forward to at this point.
Yes. Get ready for 2024.
And just to wrap up the Pro Stock categories, here is the final layout from the Pro Stock car event ladder. Shout out to Jerry Tucker, top speed of the meet, career best 213 miles an hour. I believe that there are about 6 drivers on this list who have ran career bests this weekend in the Pro Stock category. It was definitely come get you some performance for them. And then lastly here in the Pro Stock motorcycle ladder and how they played out, a huge shout out to Kelly Klontz, who comes out of nowhere, qualifies number 2, never been in the 70s before, I believe she said in her interview, and comes out there with a 671, 201 miles an hour, her first 200, and she eclipses that by an additional mile an hour. And you know what it got her first round? Joey Gladstone and that pink Denso bike going rounds. What a tough way to have to end it. But, I mean, that was definitely a career day and a career weekend for Kelly Klontz. Best qualifying performance, career best ET, career best speed, and just a shout out to her. Again, a lot of the Pro Stock motorcycle riders had some pretty good runs throughout. Blaine Hale, we had mentioned, first time back in a field since 2009. Nice to see him come back there. And Malcolm Phillips Jr. showing up, Corey Reed. Nice to see just a full 16 bike field show up here at Dallas.
Certainly was. Where else now, Mr. W, inside the NHRA?
Well, the only thing we really have left to wrap up with is who is going to end up being our high performer of the race. Well, Darren confirmed earlier that there will be multiple winners of this, starting with Gage Herrera for his absolute dominating performance, and also co-high performer of the race, Erica Enders, for her also dominating performance, and becoming the winningest female in NHRA history. So congratulations to both of them. I mean, at this particular point, how do you not include Leah and Matt for their performances? How do you not include Julie Natus for her performance and Doug Gordon and the Jegs All-Star winners? It's hard to pick just one high performer. I would say the real high performer of the race should be just the race itself, the 2023 Texas Nationals, Texas Fall Nationals. That I mean, it far exceeded my expectations for record performances and elimination runs. A little bit sketchy at times. The right lane was a little bit questionable at times, but the performances still came out in the end, and we still had, I mean, to end it with Leah and Steve side by side, and Steve going 366, but Leah winning on a hole shot, and that 366 coming in the, quote, bad right lane, I guess it goes to show you that that lane wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
Right. And I do want to remark, I was surprised, pleasantly so, Friday night. That night qualifying session has been here for the last 2 years, very long nitro sessions, because you have people throwing down and spilling their guts. But this particular event, this particular Stampede of Speed, that night session, oh, they were rolling for sure, but they were not spilling the contents therein. They were keeping the smoke inside the motor, and it was not coming out, and that was certainly good for the entirety of the program. Kudos to all the nitro tuners and nitro teams, the people turning the wrenches on these tremendous racing machines, because they put on a stellar show Friday night. The Achilles heel to drag racing is oil downs. It just is. But there were very few times that the Safety Safari had to do anything to that track Friday night.
No, and really throughout the entire weekend, they didn't roll. They rolled in mass more for the incidents that we had on track, more so than explosions or blow-ups. The only ones that really come to mind, obviously Troy Coughlin Jr. with an oil down with his blown motor, and Clay Milliken, who admitted he made a mistake by hitting the throttle in that qualifying session, that the car didn't move 2 feet before going off like a bomb. He said that he normally glances down at the oil pressure gauge, and he did not, but the oil pump broke. The motor had no oil pressure. He hit the loud pedal, and it went off. So Clay admitted that was his personal mistake. He's like, I normally check that. I should have looked down. I didn't. We didn't have oil pressure, and it caused a boom and a delay. But for the most part, not a lot of other delays. Like I say, mostly cleanups from accidents, but not from spilled oil, which is, like you say, major kudos to the nitro teams, and all the teams in general, for having a clean, oil-free event.
For sure. And, you know, it's interesting. I had lunch with a group of crew chiefs and people involved in drag racing Wednesday at the Pecan Lodge in Deep Ellum, there north of Dallas, and one of the individuals having lunch with was Jimmo. Well, it was cool to meet him because we had him on the Competition Plus Power Hour that, like, the week before or night before even, and he remarked on the Power Hour that, you know, they've got a great hot weather tune-up, and at lunch he's like, yeah, we're ready for it. We want some cold weather. We think we got it where we need it, and they showed that they've got something to do now in both conditions, it seems like.
Yeah, it was very surprising to see. I mean, I was the first one to admit when that ladder came out. Justin Ashley, Clay Milliken, E1. I did not have Clay Milliken going rounds. I actually picked Justin Ashley to have a comeback weekend and win this race for the second or third year in a row, however many it's been for him. Absolute stunner that he was out first round and potentially his championship. So, but props to Clay, getting it down the track, going rounds, another semifinal round appearance. It's just a shame that they didn't start out the countdown a little bit hotter than what they did, because they could be right in the thick of this too.
For sure. And with Justin Ashley, you just have to wonder, what is it right now with this team that holds them back in these type of situations? Because Justin's driving seems to be very even keel. It doesn't spike one way or the other. He is consistent with stellar driving, and we certainly know that the individuals over there tuning the car are capable individuals of doing it. Just seems to all go awry at the wrong time.
Yeah, and I mean that big booming 338.40 in qualifying, which I believe fell into the third fastest speed in history, and just didn't seem to have it on race day. And it was very, very surprising that they went out and they had the trouble that they did, especially considering, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the quote-unquote good lane for that first round. So for them to have troubles there, they must have just came up a little too aggressive, or as the pairs continued on, the track got a little bit hotter than they thought it was going to be, and it was a little bit over center. And unfortunately, in this day and age, that's all it takes. It don't take much, as we saw in Robert Heitz and Ron Capps' case as well. But we've got Briar Star on here. His question is, does Steve Torrence still have a chance to win Top Fuel in your mind?
I don't think this is going to be done in Vegas for Top Fuel. I think Top Fuel is the one that's going to go to Pomona. Granted,
at this point, Steve is, just to clarify, because I know you weren't on for the first section of the show, he is third in points, 13 points behind Leah.
Okay. Yeah.
So of course he's gonna. I mean, 13 points. He's less than a round away. He could make that up in qualifying.
Right.
So, does he have the consistency to go rounds? I think so.
Yes.
I mean, I would answer Briar the same way. Yes, I think he still's got a shot for the championship. Mighty Mac did the math. Gage's 2023. He's got a 95.8% win average, and Dave Schultz at 94 was 95.2. So 40 out of 42 rounds. So it looks like Gage is on pace to have possibly the best motorcycle season that anybody has ever had. Congratulations to him.
Impressive. And you know what? It's actually kind of refreshing that we're seeing someone carry momentum from regular season through to the countdown, and we don't have a flip in one way or the other, because we have got so many flips right now on all the other categories.
Right. I agree. Well, any other final thoughts on Dallas? As obviously you got to enjoy it in person, so you might not have got to enjoy it to the extent, because I know when you're at the track, you miss a lot of stuff. You got to pick and choose what you can and can't see. So
Right. You know, focusing on alcohol, obviously I do miss some rounds of eliminations for the pros. You know, I did get to the stands early before alcohol ran one session and got to shoot some. Actually, it was during the time when Alex Laughlin went through the lights and popped it. Actually got a pretty decent photo, and it's on MMR of that body all folded up. But this was a spectacular event. I don't know how they keep making it better. And every time, like the first one was good, and I'm like, I would definitely want to come back. The second one was better, and I'm like, I would definitely want to come back. And they did it again and made the Stampede of Speed better. And I spoke with Christy Meyer Johnson briefly in an interview. They have that mentality, and they're going to continue to do that. So it's fourth rendition coming up for 2024. They intend it to be better than 2023. Now, they can't do anything about the weather, but everything around it, certainly they can, and they expect it to be even better. Hopefully we get autumn weather for the Fall Nationals again in Texas. Doesn't always happen this way, but when it does, and that surface out there, it is certainly tremendous what we get across the board. It doesn't matter whether it was factory stock, if it was the alcohol classes to the pro stock classes to the nitro classes, what stellar performances we saw. And apparently also don't listen to me concerning alcohol coverage, because I really thought everything was going to go Pomona, and they ended here in Texas with the World Championships for Julie Natus and Doug Gordon. So I don't know nothing.
They are wrapped up, but again, congratulations to them. And going back-to-back and winning the national event on top of it, huge weekends for them. I mean, I'm surprised that as you're there's just not more parties going on in the background, because there's a lot of happy people in Texas tonight. With Doug Gordon, with the Natus crew, with the Randy Meyer crew, with the TSR Nitro teams, I'm sure they got to be out there just Tony Stewart's not one to turn down a party.
Let's see. Well, where the media center is and where I'm looking, everybody is that way that you're talking about, and like alcohol is way down there. I mean, I'm down like 70 pounds at this point. That's what the covering alcohol at a national event will do for you. You walk all the way to cover alcohol, you're going to lose weight.
Good times though. Good times. You gotta invest in a scooter or something, or a golf cart. Get something for the weekend.
I tell you something. What a great event. It has been so good. Texas Motorplex is such a great place. It keeps cementing, kind of even like St. Louis does, of like, okay, this is a countdown track.
Yeah.
And it should have what it's got, and it is a great place to have the Stampede of Speed and what they're doing. By the way, too, I think this is the best crowd I've seen for the Stampede of Speed overall. Like, the weather hit right, because last year, remember, the weather was iffy on Sunday and things of that nature, and Saturday wasn't even that great, but weather hit just right, and just all the sun and moon aligned. I'll go that way. And and everything worked out. Everything worked out for this Stampede of Speed, because there were great crowds really every day. Sure, Friday, I think Friday night Stampede of Speed, as great as it is, you're in football country, and it's Friday night, and high school football is frankly king in Texas. I don't care where you're at in Texas. It just is. I think that might be a challenge. But every day I was like, wow, there's a better crowd than there was last year. Wow, there's a better crowd than there was today. And I really feel like today's crowd rivaled yesterday's crowd. I'm sure it wasn't as much, but it looked just about the same.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was good. Of course, you only got a glimpse of I guess that would be the pit side stands. I'm not sure which the right lane stands would be considered, but we saw glimpses of them as we were watching the Pro Stock highlights, basically out of Erica Ender's in-car camera that was facing that direction. Some spatterings, some spots that were empty, but still a decent amount of people, even on that side, from what you couldn't see on TV. So overall, in general, the weather, I know, like you said, you can never control the weather, but I feel like this same race, this same weekend, 95 degrees, this race doesn't play out the way that it plays out.
No, it doesn't.
The way that it is, unfortunately. So, yes, like you said, they got very lucky. They caught the weather when they needed to catch it, and it turned out to be an epic national event. And Texas Motorplex is one of the tracks that's on my bucket list. I hope to make it out there one day just to see the place in person. And, it's one of those one of the original super tracks of the 80s. And it still, all these years later, has held its luster.
Certainly has.
So thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight as we recap the epic 2023 Fall Texas NHRA Nationals. Thanks to Darren for letting me take over as host while he was in Bakersfield getting his nostalgia fix on. And thank you to Lee for tuning in and becoming my co-host for the event for a little bit of it, at least for the Pro Stock side of things. I wish we'd have had you for the Nitro part of it, because I'm sure you'd have had plenty to add there too. But and appreciate the cameos that you've grabbed people as they've walked on by too. So on to Vegas, 2 to go. That's it. See you all next time, and thanks for tuning in.